Good evening, everyone. Those who have come here in person and those who are joining us online, welcome to Sunday Satsang. Many of us recently returned from the US from our visit to Ananda Village in California. And we thought it's nice that since we all have come back to our routine here in Pune, to share with you all our experiences, what we felt, and we will also show you some of the photos here so that you can also feel the energy that we have just visited. So we thought, let's do it this Sunday itself. So what we thought, Amit and myself will share first just an overview of our visit in the village, and then later on some of us also attended Living Discipleship program there. So we will also share, those who have attended, our experience of the importance of that program and how we felt during the program. Followed by after we share our just overall experience. And there are many of us actually visited, and it was like tricky how many of us can share actually here. So we thought those who are in person, it's an added advantage for them. After the satsang, there will be another satsang outside where Dr. Aditya, Swami Bhavni, I can see who all was there. Bharat here, he is also here. And oh yeah, Urmila is going to share about the Living Discipleship program. So they all can also share after the satsang with all of you. So feel free to ask them any questions or anything that you would like to ask. And it's such a blessing that now we have returned back to the city life in the village, in Ananda village. It's like a community feeling that everything is there. The temple is there, there are shops, there are places like parks and everything. And here, like having a center in the city is such a blessing that we all have. I'm like now much more grateful than before. That we have this place to come together, to meditate together, to have satsang together. So grateful for that. And I will just give an overview about our time in the US, in the not actually in the US, in the village. So Amit, can you just show the timeline? So this was the time we were in the village from 15 June to 15 July. And in between that, these three events happened. So first week, we had Seva week to prepare for Swami Kriyananda, who is the founder of Ananda Sangha. His 100th birth celebration we had, because of which we all went, first of all. And for the preparation part, how we all served there, we'll just share few fun photos also. Then followed by that, we had the celebration of Swamiji's centennial, which happened for a week with a lot of meditation, inspiration, kirtan, choir, art, plays, and much more. It's not possible even to condense all that experience in 5 minutes or 7 minutes. So we'll just try to give you a glimpse of all. Then myself and Tushar and Urmila, who are going to share about Living Discipleship program that we attended, how to deepen our discipleship with our Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. It was a 2-week long program that we attended. Long meditations, lots of insights of different work that Ananda is doing worldwide. We got a glimpse of all the areas where Master's work is reaching out. So that was a great deep program that we all attended. So we will be sharing all about it. So with that, I invite now Amit to share his experience.
So I want to share what I am going to share. Last time I was at the village was in 2013. This was a time when Swamiji left the body. I was not planning to go, but neither that we knew that Swamiji was going to leave the body. But then I think some of these people, they were able to go to Europe, but then I didn't go to Europe, so I eventually ended up going to the village. While I was going, I stopped at Palo Alto. And this was some of you probably know, I started my journey from Palo Alto. And then, so there is a devotee there, she knows me very well, Kripamai is her name. And this was like after almost like 8-9 months that I returned there. And I came from India, isn't it? And she had this very deep desire to go to India, but for circumstantial reason, I think she was not able to go there and probably was not going to be able to go there also. So when she heard that I have returned from India, she came, very easy. And I was for a moment surprised, like, meaning I know I was missing Palo Alto and all these friends also, but they were missing me so dearly. That's with the intention I went there, but she said, "Oh, can I touch you? The sand of India, the breath of India." I said like, "Oh." And that's what she actually wanted. She did. It was not about me, as I was thinking, but it was where I came from. And that is, I think, what the intention of this evening also. It is, as she mentioned, many of us were there, but where we were, and as Anandita mentioned, and what we experienced, if we share, hopefully we can share those moments that we all greatly were blessed to experience with all of you as well. So, you see, that between 1 to 15 I wasn't part of the living discipleship, but this was the first time actually I wanted to do this also, but I just wanted to be at the village. I think many of you probably have seen the movie Finding Happiness. If you have not, I highly encourage you to watch that. It will give you a glimpse of what we are trying to do. And but I had that interest to actually just be there and be part of that village, not necessarily doing any program or part of any big celebration, but just what do they do, as Ananda says, wake up in the morning, do their chore and whatnot. So I was able to do that. And very beautifully, I was able to also spend some of that time with Naya Swami Jayaji. I think many of you not only know him very well. He used to be in Pune for a long time. And so I was staying with him, and few of those days I've also visited Sadhana Devi, Swami Jayaji's wife, who recently left the body. And how many of you know Sadhana Devi ji? Okay, and there will be many hands online as well. So I wanted to share because, as I mentioned, 2013, I didn't have much time with Sadhana Devi as such. But strangely enough, I just got to know that first time when I decided that I am going to do Ananda as my life choice. And my parents wanted to have some conversation. And they went and met Jayaji, and they mentioned that Sadhana Devi was the one who sort of helped them realize, understand what is Ananda and all those kind of things. And she was the one who actually very quickly left. But 2013, when I went to the village, she was the one who picked me from the bus stop for whatever reason. And it sort of stuck with me. So this time when I went with Jayaji to meet her, and I think Bharat and Bhavni and many of the others also were able to go and see her. First time when I went, this was with Dr. Aditya's sister, Prerna. Doctor, she also has had problem with her hearing, so, and they haven't switched it on. So she was sort of in a very day space, so we did sing some songs and whatnot, but we're not able to get much out of her. But anyway, Jayaji has prepared us, so we didn't have any expectation as such. We were there to give. Then second time there was Bhagyashri, from our own Bhagyashri. She was also with us, so we went, and this time Sadhana Devi ji was in a very happy space. And I remember, so again, Jayaji said she had problem with her memory, so Jayaji said, "Don't worry, you can sing the same songs. It is going to be fresh for her." So life is a dream. And then we started singing, and then she had trouble remembering those words, but she started, at least we could see her lips, that she was all singing it back. And I was very happy to see that. Then we tried some more songs, but not all songs she remembered. But that song, and we sang it again, and she tried to sort of lip sync. Third time, this was my last visit to her, and then I went, and this was again with Jayaji and Bhagyashri. And by this time, I think she had also was confined to her room, but again in a very happy space. So Bhagyashri was reading her a story, and she was very happy about it, and she was responding to that story as well and whatnot. So we fed again. We sang a couple of songs, and then then we left. And while we left, we were almost about to leave the the place where she was. I realized I left my bag in her room. So Jayaji said, sorry Jayaji, I have to go back inside. She said, oh, go. Then they have to open all those doors. I was running. And I was not, I thought she must have slept off or in her own world. And she was still staring at the door. And so as I entered, our eyes met again. And she was smiling. And she's not the one who has a very loud smile, but there was some sound she would make. And she was still making it. And I said, Sadhana Devi, I left my bag. I'm sorry, I'm leaving now, she said. She didn't respond. But it was a very beautiful gesture. And lately, I don't know if some of you actually watched Sadhana Deviji's Astral Ascension. Jayaji said she wanted to bless. That's what her way always was. But because of her nature, she always not very obvious. Okay, come, let me just touch your forehead. And I felt that I was very deeply blessed in that last meeting also. And when I went there, I know many of you raised your hand, and those who are online, you have a very special place in your heart for her, for Jayaji. So with that intention, I thought I should share the blessings that she sent. I think it was probably meant for all of us here as well. I was with Jayaji. That's another great blessing I had for those 10 days. And then he was in an extremely inspired space after the 21 to 28 days of centennial. So our life was very beautiful, wake up in the morning. He would wake up way early, but by 6:30 we both will find our way to Temple of Light, meditate there. Come back. By then Jayaji would come early, and then he would have his smoothie. And he says, the leftover smoothie you can have. And I shamelessly had it every day. And sometimes I felt, I fed him, I made lunch or breakfast for him twice. He made it 4 times for me. But it was nice. And then again, we'll spend some time. We'll go evening. We'll come again around 4 o'clock, 4:35. It was time to walk to the Temple of Light again. It would be just a few of us there and whatnot. And by the evening, there is a very beautiful ridge. We'll show a picture of that. From there, again, Finding Happiness also talks about it. Very beautiful views. And this was the time when the weather is also changing a little bit. So there are clouds. And as a result, magnificent colors. Hari, some of you know, he's from Coimbatore. He was also with me, just staying close by. So he was also part of this team. And so around 7:30 or 8, we will find ourselves starting walking towards the ridge. And he had a very beautiful way of saying, let's go quickly. Why? He says, Divine Mother will start painting now. And we'll show those pictures. Those are incredibly beautiful. This was a life at the village. So we all enjoy coming here, isn't it? Then we will go outside, and as Anandita said, we'll have our prasad and whatnot. But to think about, you go down just for a coffee, and again, there is nobody else but Guru Bhais. Think about if you go to a Reliance Fresh or one of your Nature's Basket, and the person at the cashier is one of your Guru Bhais. That was so arcane and yet so beautiful, and that is the life at Ananda village. Of course, it is not as crowded as we are in Aund, but still, you're always into that vibration. It never changes no matter what you are doing. One of the works me and Bharat did in that 15th to 20th time was Karma Yoga. And you see, Karma Yoga is a very sophisticated thing, isn't it? You come and you set up the chair, and then you have your prasad and you leave. On the first day when we went there, they gave us a shovel and said, we are going to make a road. And they were serious. But it was beautiful, of course exhausting and whatnot. And this was the life we experienced there. After that, which is not there, we had a time to go to Palo Alto as well. And as I told to you, and many of you know, this is where I started my journey. This is where probably Urmila started. She already starting feeling nostalgic the moment I mentioned Palo Alto. But I also met some of these very good friends after almost 13 years. Anandita, this was the first time for her, and what they have done is it's an apartment complex, and many of the devotees basically rent and live there. It's very simple, and one of the garages they have turned into a meditation temple. It's a garage after all. Even the door they haven't changed. It is like a very temporary plastic kind of a door. It's still there. I don't know why they don't change it. We went there because we had a meeting with Ashaji, and then there was some time, so we said, okay, we'll go meditate. We went inside. Wow, beautiful vibrations. What incredibly. Meaning I've lived there for almost a year and a half, but just again going there and visiting, this makes sense. This is right in the middle of the hustle bustle of Silicon Valley, where the rest of the world is completely in a different space, trying to make the big, and then running a new corporates and then running after the VCs and whatnot. And there in the middle, this is like an 80 flats that they have, and they have created this kind of a space. I say this also because you see, like Anandita said, we are happy to be here. Because we also could be outside, and then the moment we come here, we are trying to create that space. This place already exists. And not only just the place, you see, like a little community, little sort of a group of those of us who sort of keep coming here again and again. You like it, isn't it? We all like it. And not only we like it, this is sort of, I think, if you like it, you have to demand more, invest more. I'm not talking about the financial investment, not yet at least, but invest more in terms of that energy. This needs to remain. With Jayaji, one of the good part used to happen is in between our meditations, we'll have some philosophical discussions from time to time, or more of a guidance from him. What does he want to do, or what do you want to accomplish? And he says, one of the things he says, I want us to create a place like that. Maybe Ananda village. We have to have an equivalent at some point in India. Ananda Palo Alto, we have to have something like that in India. When we do not know, I talked about Palo Alto more because for all of us who sort of live in the city, karmically, dharmically, that is a relatable model. See, many of us here, I see Pradnya, I see Taral, Pratik, those guys have taken steps to actually come closer. Some of you already live closer. Madhukarji keeps walking to the center. Walking is important. Moving is important for those who have the possibility, because that is going to create that magnetism, and then the rest will come and go and come and go. Why? Because for each one of us, just the way we all felt when we enter, we feel home. Okay, Om Guru. Now we will see some pictures. So one of the projects is they created So this is Saints and Sages of the Autobiography of a Yogi. This is sort of other side of the lake. Again, you don't know the geography. But they have a little tiny shrines for each of the saints from Autobiography of a Yogi. And see, this is a picture I took, and I used to go there after the centennial when there is like very few people. Think about, like, you just choose your saint for the day and then sit. There is a next door chair, and you sit for long periods of time. Extremely beautiful and a quiet place. And this is the ridge I'm talking about. No? Divine Mother is a good painter. Do we agree or not? Yeah. And on that day, there was also that beautiful rainbow came in. Yeah. And this is again, so this is like 3 evenings. We keep going there. Every day a different Nazara. So that's my picture contribution.
Yeah, if you go back to the second slide. Yeah. So I would like to share, like I thought I'll just share one point each from all these 3 events that I had participated for. So that just to share that experience with all of you. The week 1, when we went to the village for the Seva Week program, as Amit already shared that, there were different projects, and many of us had flown from different parts of the country, and yeah, here also many of you participated there. So the idea was to help for the centennial preparation, the village setup, and different projects were there. So we were every day would wake up for 1 week and meet, gather, and pray, and then disperse with whatever projects we are asked to help with. So the range was, as Amit was sharing, that it was like from chopping vegetables to making a road or house for that matter. So all sorts of projects were there, and being in India, we all know that we have sedentary lifestyle here. But in the village, that just broke everything. Like all the physical limitations we have, that body cannot move after beyond a point, or the mind says you are tired, don't do it, you will feel more tired, and all sorts of things were there. And it was not different with me also. So I was like, oh yes, struggling with the physical labor that we have to put in. And at one point, while I was trying to overcome the limitations of the body and mind that doesn't allow us to go beyond our limit, I was like, anyways, we have come here to serve. Let's just do it anyways and see what happens, without thinking much about the body or mind, what it says. And it came after first few days, not that initially I was able to do that with a lot of joy and willingness, but after few days I was like, yeah, this is happening. Why is it happening? The body is not that way prepared, but it's fine. Why have we come here and serve? And the moment that resistance, all sorts of resistances were there in the mind, they were like asked to sit back and watch. I realized that the energy was flowing, and the fatigue and tiredness that we felt initially wasn't there anymore. And at the end of it, I was thinking, okay, let's think, why have we come here? Who are we doing this for? We had come to serve our Guru's work and celebrate Swami Kriyananda's life as a disciple, and whose power is actually flowing through us. And that, when that actually came into light after first few days, I was like relaxed, and then rest of the days were easier than those first few days, which, you know, the lower self always takes the front seat when you have all sorts of limitations, and the higher self comes when we just sort of stop to resist what is limiting us. So that was just one experience I thought to share with you, that all the realities were there, but still that energy and environment and those who were serving with us were doing so joyfully in an uplifted way, changed the energy which I was going through at initially. So that was just one experience. Then moving on to the centennial celebrations. Oh, by the way, can you show the picture for the Karma Yoga? So as he was sharing, Bharat and him were doing the road, they were making the road, and Shamini and I took the photo without asking Shamini. So we were assembling a cupboard out of nowhere, that with no experience, with 25 steps in the manual, we were just trying to figure it out, and one or the other devotee was coming in between, and wherever we were stuck, they were just helping that part. So we were like, oh, if this was not told, we wouldn't have gone to step 25 and making that cupboard outside in the tent. They had that big cupboard to be installed. So we did that, and it was so much fun. It took us the entire day, and Nanda Devi, who's the manager of that project, she said, oh, it's fine, even if you don't finish today. We were like, oh my god, how many days it's going to take to complete that cupboard. So it was fun with Shamini, and that's Bharat and Amit. They are making the road, and like, what is it called, that machine? Tapping? Wheelbarrow. Yeah, wheelbarrow. Like making the road plain, right? That's what I understand. So that was, they were some of the fun that we had with the Seva week. Okay, and now for the centennial that came later with Swamiji's 100th. There were many programs. To be very honest, there were like meditations, there were talks, there was kirtan, there was choir, there was play, there was dance. Everything was filled with a lot of light and joy and that energy throughout the week. But for me personally, I felt that the music of Swamiji, the choir songs, was the main highlight for me, where there was a next photo, the biggest choir ever. You will see there, more than 100 people were on the stage singing different songs. Ever seen like this big choir? Have you? Not, right? So that was an experience, and whenever everybody was singing, 100 plus singers, the entire temple where around 700 of us were sitting was like vibrating with high energy, and your like the consciousness was ultimately uplifted throughout the singing. So that was just like a best experience. And the best part was, like, after every song, it just touched the soul whenever we heard that singing through all many singers. And there were small groups also who sang, solos also they were played. And whenever I closed my eyes after the singing, and whenever I was like trying to feel more deeply, I always saw Swamiji's face in front of my eyes, like closed eyes. That was like the most beautiful experience of the centennial celebration. And now we will hear a small bit of that centennial, one of the songs. That's it? Yeah, as you can see that all of them were singing in different parts and variations. That was kind of energy we experienced during the centennial. And another highlight of the centennial was all the kirtans that were played, the chants of masters that were played. That is a 1 minute long. Maybe we can play half of. yeah, so those are the highlights for me personally from the centennial. And lastly, I would just share the experience of the Living Discipleship program, which we attended in the seclusion retreat. So Ananda has different what you can say. There is Expanding Light, which is the yoga and meditation retreat, where we all had gone for the Seva week. Then there is Temple of Light, where Swamiji's centennial program happened. And there is a seclusion retreat, which is a bit away from the village, where you can seclude, stay in silence, that kind of setup they have. Where we had Living Discipleship program of 2 weeks long, in which we were given an overview of Ananda's worldwide work, which is carrying forward our Guru Paramhansa Yogananda's mission every part of the world, and how things actually manifest in reality, living the teachings, not just in theory, that how organizations in general sense work, but how the organization taking the principles of yoga and teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda are executing this big work of uplifting the consciousness. And I felt that even though whatever little we are doing here as a seva at the center, or whatever role we are given, but it's adding as a drop to the ocean, because we were given an overview of the ocean, what's happening throughout the world. And it's just that lifting the consciousness of the world is making a big difference by our whatever tiny part of service we are putting into service here at the center or wherever we go, is just adding that to the bigger ocean. And that ocean is the vast consciousness of God, and towards which how Ananda is going forward. That's what I felt during the Living Discipleship program, that deepening the discipleship to the master, who is great self-realized yogi, and how many devotees have dedicated their lives for this kind of mission of our Guru. So that was the most inspiring and enlightening moment for me, that I wasn't knowing that, oh my God, this is happening at such a big scale and such a big level, and we are playing our part, but that drop really matters. Whichever part we are doing is adding to that ocean of world's consciousness being uplifted. So that was my takeaway from the Living Discipleship program. We had very long meditations also throughout the week, like 3-hour meditation, 2-hour meditation. In between they were sharing how every department works, who they work with, how they serve. It was like a true example of putting the teachings into practice, learning about all different departments, that given an overview. And we also got an opportunity to meet different devotees at being in the path for many years, learning from their experiences. So in and all, it was like a very deep period where we woke up at 5:30 and the day ended at 9 p.m. But though the day looked very long, but it was so fulfilling in the sense that we were taking as much as possible from that program. So with that, anything else is there? I think some pictures from the seclusion retreat I have put, and that's it. Yeah, so this is the seclusion retreat where we had Living Discipleship program. In the center you can see that is Temple of Silence, where we used to meditate. That's the altar in the temple. And then there are murtis of masters all over the place. So wherever you feel like meditating in the nature, you just go, and there is a bench and sitting arrangement where you can go in front of the master and meditate. So that was also beautiful. That is Sri Yukteswar statue. Then you can see the trees, big trees covering all the land with the shadow. So whenever you walk down, it's cool and nice walk where in the retreat itself. Then there are many flowers, different colors and plants you will see, and it is nice, beautifully set up so that your energy naturally feels uplifted once you enter the retreat. Yeah, so that was it from my side. And now I would invite Tushar to come and share about his experience about the Living Discipleship program in the seclusion retreat.
Thank you, Anandita and Amit. Yeah, so I'll just pick up from the seclusion retreat. Just to finish this slide, so you can see there are some murtis and statues, and if you know the gardener Charles Evans, he has kind of tuned into these different spots in the seclusion retreat, and you could feel different energy over there. So for example, there is a Sri Yukteswarji's statue over there, and he mentioned that you can feel there is a kind of churning of vrittis are coming up in your spine. And he says, actually, whenever the tourist comes to seclusion retreat, and he recommends them that you go to all these different spots, like Shri Yukteswarji spots, master spot. He given the name like master spot is like divine compassion. There is a Babaji's cave also there, which he calls like a bomb shelter or something like that. Or perhaps the place is bomb shelter, but he mentioned that divine qualities like a cosmic energy or divine compassion. And he says once you sit there for like 15 minutes in one spot, and then there is like a divine mother spot is also there, where you after that Shri Yukteswarji spot, you go there and then you just sat to that divine energy spot, divine mother spot, and you can feel her unconditional love. So all these different kind of, you may say, places which Charles has tuned into those areas, and he kind of felt that we need to create such a shrines over there. So I also felt there is a Swamiji's vortex, which is in my slide, perhaps if you can go. I was there for like just one day before doing my living discipleship. And I remember some of us were there and just trying to tune into these different spots, like, okay, what we feel here, what we feel there. And when I entered there, I could feel like, there's a Swamiji's, the Charles, what he described is like ascending energy, like a vortex into the Kutastha. And I felt that, it was coming up. So it was really like a marvelous to see that how the place, has certain energies, and it can help you to rise your energy. And so I think, this is a Babaji's pond where divine compassion or love or perhaps cosmic energy, I have to check and cross-check. Yeah, but the next one, the same one, Babaji's space. Yeah, so this is Swamiji's vortex, Charles calls it. So here there is when I was sitting here and I took a picture, so you can see there is a Swamiji statue also there in the center. It's a little small. So, yeah. And this is another spot which Charles has said that he was not knowing about what to put in the tree, the middle tree, and then he put the cross over there, like he nailed it. And he just got like around 12 small shrubs or plants, and he placed it over there. And one of the other people who came there during his time, and he just sat over there, and he felt like that was a main tree, felt like a Christ, and all other 12 disciples felt, all those 12 shrubs felt like his disciples sitting. And people felt like that was like a Christ energy over there. So next one. This is like a Babaji's place where you have to go down, and it actually feels like there is a Babaji's vibration over there. And I remember many people have said that they could actually feel the same vibration in Babaji's cave in Ranikhet, which is the same here. So, and this is our like a little brunch with in Crystal Hermitage, Swamiji's house, where we had a nice food over there. So yeah, you can see the delicious food. Yeah, so this we went to the sunset, not Sunset Ridge. Actually, we just went to see the sunset in seclusion retreat. There is a famous spot where people do a little trek. It's around like a 10-15 minutes walk. And yeah, so this we captured from, thanks to Adityaji's camera. Yeah. And this is just a fun picture. We went to the school, in Living Wisdom School in Ananda village. So yeah, the same. The next one, and this is our group, basically the whole Living Discipleship people, as well as with the Living Wisdom School team. So yeah, and this is another program happened. So the whole, in short, the flow of Living Discipleship, like we are going into the Ananda village and exploring the departments over there. And we are trying to get to know how those department works and serve. For example, there are like a healing ministry, there are like a, you may say the tithing ministry, there are like a prayer ministry, the donations, and plus the outreach ministry, the Espanol ministry. So all those different departments we were exploring, and we are getting kind of trying to get to know them, what they do, how they function. And one of these thing is like a families, how the families function in Ananda village. So there is, you can see the Vayu, and I guess that's a Badri. I'm not sure. So anyway, so we just had a little satsang and chat with them. So yeah. And I think, yeah, this is just a reception picture I took it, where we sat just across that. And just to finish, what I have really deeply touched in Ananda village, as first going from India to America, it was like, like kind of, we see that in the Hollywood movies or something like that. It's very like, like a posh or something, which is true. But when I entered there, and I felt like it was quiet, it was not like as India. So, and when I reached to Ananda village, and that time I felt like it was too quiet for me. I was like, this is very quiet place, and I felt like, where I have come here. And I remember, but just after a few days, I remember one of our friend Devki, she said, I think Tushar, you'll get used to it, just enjoy the flow. So I said, okay. And then I started to do karma yoga over there, and I realized first few days it was like, maybe I'm used to the Indian vibration or something. But as soon as I started to work in the Karma Yoga team, and plus doing morning sadhana, and then service over there for like 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours. And I realized that once you really do your sadhana and service more consciously, more deeper, you can really feel that joy is there. You don't have to be anywhere else to find joy. Wherever you are, you can really able to tune into that joy, and you can be joyful anywhere you go. So that really helped me. Of course, that is already we have been taught, but I felt like going into the unknown place, just, if you keep your sadhana and service strong, wherever you go, you can find the joy. So that was my kind of help me and touch me deeply the most. So yeah, thank you. Now I will invite Urmila.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to attend Living Discipleship, which was a 2-week program this time. Normally it's a 25-day event. I had not been able to, I've stayed in Palo Alto for more than 15 years, but my kids were young, so I was never able to attend that program. I mean, I got the question all the time, haven't you done it before? And I was like, no, I didn't have the time to stay in the village for that long. But yeah, starting with the centennial, where we all went a week early to help, and for me, it was more fun to have all Indians visiting this time. I've been to the village every year since 2005. Got a chance to stay there for a month when I did my yoga teacher training. So the lifestyle there is, of course, very different from what we're normally used to. And like Amit said, Palo Alto is a more urban community. And so what I realized this time is, because we got to visit also Sacramento, the pilgrims who were there, almost 50 of us were there, they organized tours for them. So within
3 hours driving distance of each other are 3 residential Ananda communities that are gigantic. I mean, Ananda village itself, like Asha says, people don't understand the size of it. It's 800 acres. So whatever distances you see us walking or the ridge, it seems near, but it's humongous, it's vast. And even that just opens up our heart. And so that is Swamiji's vision, where the first thing you realize is Ananda is Swamiji. That's the vibrations we walk into whenever we're there. Starting with the expanding light, where we stay as guests for our programs, where we have the talks in the daytime. The talks were so inspiring. Jaya ji narrated this interesting story of how they got married, which is for another time, but he said when he related that to Swamiji, Swamiji insisted that we are all renunciates at heart. Doesn't matter if we are married, not married. That is not how we define our spirituality. Our spirituality comes from within. And I think that was the message we received throughout the centennial, that in our path, it's unique that we have all these powerful masters, but we have to go within. And that was a very big learning, so to say, because another aspect of it was that for many of us who have been here, even when Swamiji was there, this centennial, it didn't feel like just a memory of him. It's a living truth. It's our practice, our sadhana is drawing that light into us. And that's what we can recognize more when we come together. That was my feeling at the centennial. And I'm so grateful for that we have all these founding Swamis now. And it was interesting because I also got to go to visit Sadhana ji and meditate in her room. By then, she had deteriorated. I think within those 2 weeks, she had deteriorated rapidly. But I felt like she was just waiting to meet old friends, to say goodbye, to take all that good energy. And there was so much peace in that room, even though she was not aware. But if we can leave the world that way, what better result of our spirituality? And in that sense, even living discipleship, there were people from all over the world within our living discipleship. There were 4 ladies from Argentina for whom there was a live Spanish translation happening. There were 1 lady from New Zealand, 1 lady from France. So it was a very varied group. And yet we saw that every center has the same problems. Send us a link. How do we pay the rent for the center? How do we motivate people? And we discussed a lot of those topics, like the sticky topics, as they call them, what is tithing? How do we present that to people? How do we participate in it? What is our understanding of it? Where we got to discuss with Erin in detail. She's the worldwide fundraiser. And she says, most of the time the response I get is, oh, I'm so glad you're doing a great job, which means I'm glad I don't have to do it. I don't have to ask people for money. But she said, my job is no different than any other ministry, Kriya ministry or any other ministry, because money is just energy. If you're, and that's what we're exchanging in that sense. So whether we are participating in projects or living there, I mean, as Aditya ji has very wisely pointed out, just because we live in the same building does not make it a community. Ananda is that flow of consciousness, and that can be done wherever we come together. And that was felt so deeply in living discipleship, where just across all the world, these people we've never met, and yet when we went into the Temple of Silence, we were right there. And I think that was that's where the place holds the vibrations. They say we would start our meditation at the best meditation you've ever had, and then it would get better. And that was the experience every day. And so the place itself supports you. So when we went back to the village, to Chandi House and other places where disciples stay, everybody said, the temple meditates for you. I'm like, we can use all the support we get. And also we got to participate in the play again, Jewel and Lotus. So lots of good stories about that. Aditi ji was on fire at one point. So I'll save that for later. I mean, just by example, we talk about Karma Yoga. He had the play rehearsal going on till late midnight. The very next morning was his talk for the centennial. So we were all just praying for him at that point. But it was so good to meet, what do we call Ananda? It's just friends who are coming together for the same values and principles. We met Brian, who was here, for those of us who were at the time of Centennial. We met the people from Germany, Maya, Merrick. They visited here often. And one of the highlights, of course, was that we got to eat food by Jair, who's the head chef in Italy for Assisi community. Best Italian I've ever eaten. But it just made me think, when we see God, like they say, yes, all these things just come along with that. God provides very well. Oh, and another thing I noticed is, I don't know how important hair is. People didn't recognize me because I had straightened my hair. So anybody who's doubted Bollywood movies for the hero's mustache, I think this is the women's equivalent, where you straighten curly hair, nobody recognizes you. But yeah, overall, it was just a very joyful time. And there was joy because one of the bigger takeaways, this was a working living discipleship, as they called it, because everybody was actively working in a center. And they said, what brings you to Ananda? What do you want to see happen? Because in our path, as we say, Kriya, we are asked to participate. We are not just sitting at the Guru's feet, so to say. We are, yes, we have all the seva, satsang, sadhana, surrender. All these together will help us. And I always remember what Asha had said, that many of us who have received Kriya and are like beyond the 5 to 6 year mark, we're kind of in the icky middle, as they say. We haven't quite reached anywhere, but we are not new on the path. And so we need to find ways to rejuvenate our sadhana, our seva. And that's where satsang comes in. We would want to come hang out with our Guru Bhais, where we give each other the best energy, whether it's planning the Sunday banquet for the centennial, the dance that happened, or the play. It doesn't matter what the project is. What matters is we get to come together and talk about the latest book we read, what philosophies we are doing, or something like that, where I had this friend from New Zealand who said, just listening to you complain about the buys in India, it's like, who knew having servants won't make your life better? So it's like saving yourself from dire fears and colossal suffering, in a sense, where, you think money is going to give you that joy, and yet we know it's all inside. And so to me, that was the final takeaway, where Atman and Maria ji, who were leading, they're also long-term Nayaswamis, who were leading the living discipleship, finally emphasized that this is where our sadhana and the outer world connect, that unless we find that bliss, that joy within, we really have nothing else to share with others. We can't. What else are we going to share? And so, yeah, that was the gist I take away. Thank you.